Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday. And we have electricity, so yay, we're already winning. Thanks for being here. Had a little mishap last week thanks to a really bad storm coming through. Knocked us out of power. You have to have power for internet, so we pushed last week's show to tonight, and some folks still South Louisiana and around the Arabi area and or on the other side of the West Bank of New Orleans are still recovering from getting hit by those storms. So I'm not going to complain about not having electricity for last week. So thanks for hanging in there with me. We're already got folks in the chat, and I'm thrilled to see everybody. We've got some new faces, some old OLE, not OLD faces, Martin JG. And yes, we're going to be talking about some things that smell a little funny around here, aromas, and getting those aromas off of our whiskey and how do we identify that? So I'm really stoked about tonight's show. Coming off of a really good whiskey weekend. I was at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. First time they've had it in real life for 2 years. So that we'll talk a little bit about that. And let's see, Zach's in here. Well, since we're the only ones in here right there, he makes sense. It's him right now. So Mark says he smells like old cigars and regret. That's not a fun smell, I would imagine, at all. Anyway, so we're in here. I want to say hello to this guy, Carlos. Hello, new to the channel. Carlos found my channel this week and made some really sweet comments, and I'm so glad that you're here to say hello. And as you can tell, everybody is very welcoming to this group. Hey, John, good to see you too. And Ethan, buy you time. Yeah, it is about time, right? Oh, goodness. So we're excited. And we've got the West Coast on. Chuck, hey, Chuck, good to see you being here tonight. Loch Ness, cheers. Solange, my friend, thanks for being here. We're excited about a bunch of good stuff going on. I see Andrew Butler and Trooper Henry and Rich. Good seeing you here, Rich. Got your package almost ready to go in the mail tomorrow. So yeah, we're excited. But so nosing a whiskey, getting some aromas. I've got 3 pours for tonight. So I'm going to tell you what they are up front. Or no, we'll go one at a time. So my first pour is a Highland. It is an Annock 12. So when you start smelling and you try to make this connection between what you're smelling and what that's called. And it's a big part of enjoying whiskey, right? It's a big part of what you get from the whiskey. 80% of what we taste comes from what we smell. So getting in there and trying to figure out what that smells like is a chore, and it can be pretty frustrating. And then you have people that write these tasting notes that are like fabulous, and the leather off of an old saddle with a dusty tack room and this kind of stuff, and you're thinking, really, what is that? So very interesting. Anyway, so we're gonna try this. I do want to say and to thank everybody for your patience as I start this new endeavor with the live. We have had some technical difficulties. I may even be hanging up again tonight. I'm not quite sure. Please be patient. We're working it. We have a new modem. Modem may not be working great, so we're going to see that. But definitely, thanks for your patience on that. And I've got tickets into the StreamYard group. They're helping me troubleshoot this, and as well as my internet supply, internet provider. So we're going to figure that out. So thanks again for your patience. But yeah, so getting back to nosing the whiskey, trying to figure out and detect what that aroma is something like everything else. You have to practice it. And you see these people that just can like lilt this off of their end of their tongue of what all these wonderful smells are. Some of it I'm like, I call, I don't know that you're going to get all of that. But part of it too is you really need to get through some whiskey to figure out what things do smell like and to have some exposure to smells in general, I think, in order to kind of get some of that identification down. So I'm going to go back to our comments here because people are flying in. We've got 23 in. Awesome. Again, let's see. We've got Buzzed Monkey. Hello. Well, hello, Buzzed Monkey. I was wondering, do you like some monkey shoulder? And I like that Deanston you got in your avatar. That's really pretty cool. Thanks for being here. That's awesome. We got Daniel H. Friend. Hello. How are you? Put in the chat, what's everybody drinking tonight? And I also want to know, I'm going to ask a couple of times because I want to get everybody here. What is the one aroma that you have trouble identifying? Or what's the one aggravation of trying to identify an aroma? Is it that you think it's fruit, that you smell a fruit, but you can't identify the fruit? Is it that you just, like for me, I don't get the iodine on an Isla. And we're going to do an Isla before the evening's over. But I struggle with getting that Band-Aid. And a lot of people are like, whoa, that's like hospital and Band-Aid. I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. So we're gonna work on those kinds of things. And let's see. We got, oh, hey, Ben Demon Hunter. Wonderful to see you, friend. Thanks for making it. Let's see who else we've got in here. We got, Molasses. This whiskey smells like a Tuesday. What else do you have to do on Tuesday, right? Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and I love how everybody's like, hey, how's it going? And I see Jim Kimradic is in, and Mary B is here. Haley and glad all is well after the storms. Yes, we were very lucky. We had, we were out of power for about 5 hours, but nothing like in outside of New Orleans. Those folks were really hit hard. Got some more storms coming in tomorrow, so fingers crossed. This spring gets a little dicey around here, and especially with my friends over in Texas, it can be a little scary over there as well. So here's what Troopers having some of the Balcones Blue Label. Picked it up at Walmart for $19. Boo! You kidding me? Oh my gosh, what a steal that was. Okay, so Best Monkey, you're a buddy of Zach. Well, any buddy of Zach is a friend of mine too. Thanks for being here. Pencil shavings. Pencil shavings, do you get off of a particular, or is that what you have trouble picking up? Because to me, pencil shavings feels like a 4th grade math quiz. I'm going to panic, a slight bit of panic and lead and some like old wood. That's what pencil shavings. And so what happened right there? I thought of a smell and I immediately got a memory from it because in 4th grade, I missed 4 times 4 and I will always ever remember that it is 16. Yeah, I'm not traumatized much at all. Let's see. So Trooper says he has an SMWS Glenbergie poured and finished a kill of a local Wisconsin 4-grain bourbon. Interesting. Yeah, so at the Bourbon Festival this past week, this weekend, I just went on Friday for the seminars. Really great information. Went to went to a seminar on all about Prohibition. I didn't know really what to expect a whole lot, being a Scotch person going into the Bourbon Festival, but it was really, really good. And then we had, there was a panel of blenders, and it was from Marianne Eves from Eves Blind. Then it was the granddaughter of Jimmy Russell for Wild Turkey, Widow Jane, Uncle Nearest, all women blenders. It was fabulous. Super, super sessions. There was also a session on American single malts, which I thought was really interesting. And just what other ones are doing. And if there's folks that were at the Dummies 6-year reunion where the Peachwood came up with Copper Fox, They are actually doing American single malts with smoked malt from cherry wood, from apple wood, and the peach wood. So I thought that was interesting. And then there's one out of Arizona that is doing it with mesquite wood smoked malt. And that almost had this rustic kind of vibe going on with it. So again, really, really pretty cool, interesting. Let's see here too. So Mark has got Mark JG's got a Balcones single malt. I might need to get another single barrel next, I'm guessing. Kim Reddick, the Campbelltown Funk. Still can't figure out what that is. Yeah, that's some folks think it's like a dirty old sock. Some folks think it's just kind of a musty, kind of moldy type thing. To me, it's more of a glue funk. I know that's strange, but that in itself proves a point that everyone's smell perception of a smell can be different, right? So Rich, you have trouble with ash. So I'm guessing ash as compared to charcoal or wood smoke or some different things like that. That's interesting. Gotcha. Hey, Mr. Whiskey Shits, glad you're here tonight. He says, I'm terrible at sending notes, but I know what's good. So great point. If you like it, do you really have to analyze it and give everything a label? And you really don't. You don't. But it is good when you are trying to sit there and you do want to try to get through a dram and think, what is it? It's right there. You're kind of thinking about it. And part of it is just practice. And we're going to do some tricks and have some tips tonight on how to pick those things out. So that's cool. Hey, one of my new friends, Mike Dodd. Hey, nice to see you. I met him down at the Bourbon Festival, and he is also a Scotch guy. So super to have you here, friend. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So Jim Mary says, Jim just poured a 28-year-old Cameron Bridge from the Impex collection. That sounds really pretty tasty. I might need to know more about that. And so Trooper, yeah. So I'm telling you, and Mike here can tell you all about it. Mike hasn't missed one. He's been to every single one of them and has done the VIP version of it. I did not do any of the tastings on Friday or Saturday night. I actually had a concert to go to that I had the tickets for 2 years. And that was nice to actually have some kind of thing going on that felt like pre-pandemic. But it's a really well run event, I think, from what I saw of it. And I would definitely, even though I'm Scotch centric, I would definitely look at doing the whole thing next year for sure. So look at that. And another guy I missed. Hey, man, Troy, I hate I missed you down there, friend. But yeah, I was having other kinds of fun while you were working through the tasting. I'm sure you got to get some of the behind the table bottles, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you got some of those for sure. Awesome. Great. Golly, such great comments. It's hard. It really is hard to keep up, y'all. This is super. So we'll get into, this whole tasting thing. And really my goal here is to help folks find a way to put a name to a taste. And knowing that smelling and what we smell is subjective, we don't always smell everything the same. And the dram, like I've done a review on this Anak 12. We did a camp dram, one of the very first camp drams. And that pour may not really smell like this pour again. Probably will have some similarities, but it may not be everything that is there, And just thinking about like the mechanics of nosing. Everybody in this group, you all know what nosing is, but it's simply just breathing in what this dram has to offer, right? And you're getting into, and I like to keep my mouth open when I do take in, because that keeps the alcohol from staying up in the nasal cavity and kind of giving you a fit. Um, but doing that, so one of the classes, the last class of the day, which keep in mind that every session we had some small samples of different bourbons, a couple ryes and things like that, and then the American single malts. We had samples all along. So by 5 o'clock, I was somewhat adorable and enjoying the day really well. But so we had a session by Marty Duffy, who is from Glencairn. And he walked us through the different glasses. We had a mixer glass. Actually, I have my water in it tonight. And you can see you looked at my Instagram post, you got to see the Copito we got and got a wee mini Glencairn. But he even made a comment about nosing the glass at the lower lip will give you heavier tones of the whiskey, as opposed to sniffing up under the top lip, which will give you the lighter ones. And I guess that makes sense, right? Because the denser vapors would be lower, so you would get those. So this, as opposed to up here, gives you a different range of smells. Even I get on this Annoc 12, I get a much earthier whiff, if you will, at the lower portion of the bowl than at the top. I get more of a floral. That's so strange. But again, 80% of what we taste is smell. So we have receptors all in our nasal cavity for taste, not just on your tongue. Those basically like taste buds. So too, when things are off and you may be clogged up, you're not going to be able to taste well. So those of us who go through COVID and get the scare of not being able to taste, some are still struggling with that. That's one thing, but having a cold, nothing tastes right, because you can't smell. So that's the reason that smell is so very important to the overall enjoyment of this whiskey. Wow. So I want to share this one book. So this book, Distilled Knowledge, is one of my absolute favorites. If you get geeky about things, and there's like it talks about the science behind all of this, behind distilling, behind tasting, even between digesting whiskey. And so I'll have a link to this in our description later. But just going through that and figuring out, physiologically what all is going on for you to be able to smell in the first place. The part of identification comes when you take that smell that you're able to get off of whiskey and then you marry it with a memory or some other trigger that makes the connection for you. So we'll talk about that in a bit. I want to go back and see who all we got again chatting. So who else is having trouble with certain, let's see. John, just kind of looking to see what everybody's having. So John's got a local picks from Appleton. Is that a distillery or grocery store? That's interesting. That's cool. And didn't get theirs. Oh, okay. So I love it that you've got the conversations going together on where to get certain things. That's awesome. Very cool. Oh, it's a city. So I know Appleton, Wisconsin. Okay. I was just thinking, it was a distillery or something. And so molasses has got a cask strength from Strathmillan in his glass. Really struggling with anything on the nose. Water needed? That is a very good point. Because water it's a chemical in itself, H2O, so it's thrown in there. It does lots of different things, and can do lots of different things to whiskey and make it bloom, make it change completely. Yeah. Um, so so Zach made a point how good this Anna 12 is. It so I'm very much getting the same sense that I did on the camp dram, which is lots of honey, like a floral, so floral and honey, but waxy too. And the floral, that kind of brings up another thing, maybe we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but what type of floral, So you got kind of an overall theme, but then you kind of need to like try to dig down even further. We this was interesting camp dram because we actually did it in the bee yard at the camp, and then what you didn't see was that the bees kind of got after me at the end, and that was not for public consumption. Let's just put it that way. I was not making very nice words because I had one in my hair. But anyway, this is very, very honey forward and waxy for me. And the waxy part, and I talked about it in that review, is when you get the honeycomb and it just feels like you chew honeycomb like gum. Or even like those way back in the day when you had those wax candy vampire lips or something, that you would just, that was more of a synthetic wax taste than a honey wax. But that's what I get off of this. I don't get so much wax off of the taste as I do off the nose. And the floral part to me is a little herbal, almost like a lemongrass or a geranium. I know it's like kind of flowery, but green, if you will. So who's had that Enoch 12? And tell me what you get off of that particular one. So Zach's got the 12. I also have the 18, and it's a heavily sherried version, so it's going to be completely different. So Buzz Monkey makes a suggestion. Yep, start off with some drops of water to break things up. And as he said here, adding water will help neutralize the alcohol and can open up the whiskey flavors by adding a few drops and keep adding as needed. Right, too much, you can always add more, but can't take away. And I would even say, most people worry about putting water on something if it is a higher ABV, if it's a higher alcohol content, and they may not, I don't want to put, this is a 43% for this older Enoch 12. I think probably we're going to start getting the 40 ABV and the 70 CL bottles when those start showing up here in the States. But, I don't want to put too much water on it because it's going to knock the alcohol content. And I said, just don't worry about that. If you add some water and find out if you're getting different scents or if you're getting a different aroma that you can identify, don't worry about it. If you then taste it and it's a little too watery for you, or add more in, pull it back up, Oh man. So one of the fun aids that I like to use to kind of jog your memory. You've seen tasting wheels and nosing wheels or the flavor wheel where you'll have all these different colors, and it might be wood or it may be floral or fruit, and it just kind of goes into different ones. This is a particular one that I have, and trying to do this where you won't get too much of a reflection, but it's Charlie McLean's whiskey tray, and I got this online. If whiskey, I think whiskey tray on Instagram, you can get to it that way. But and I'll find a link for it. I mean, it's not an affiliate link or anything. I just bought it because I wanted one of these. But yeah, anyway, it has Charlie McLean's descriptions of everything. So pardon me while the glasses go on, because there's some tiny writing here. But when you talk about floral, for example, I mean, he goes into the different things. So when you get to a point where you're trying to come up with, okay, is it fruit? Is it floral? Then find that, but then dig down to the next level. So if it's fruity, is it fresh fruit? Is it dried fruit? Is it like canned fruit? There's a big difference between canned peaches and a fresh peach, and peach jello, and a peach now later. All of those different peaches are very, very different, right? Or even like stewed peaches, like in a cobbler. That peach is very different than a fresh peach. So that's where you can kind of just like run down through your brain on what that difference is. It can also be like grains are a hard one for me too. Is it cereal? Is it malt? Or is it kind of a citrusy bit, like you get kind of a lemon or a grapefruit off of some malts. But do you also get like something that's hoppy tasting, or like not like a melted malt ball with the chocolate, but just the malt from that? Or is it more bready or cereal, like a cake or a cookie or something like that? Different things. I get a lot of, on Highlands, I tend to get a lot of grassy notes. So is it more like edamame, or is it, again, lemongrass? Is it like fresh cut grass? So there's all these different things. And something like this can help you kind of narrow down what those are. So if something's floral, is it lavender? Is it like dried roses? Or again, is it more of a greeny kind of citronella kind of geranium thing? And I think that's really interesting how you can do that part. So let's go into great timing, Mr. Zach Andrews. Our next dram is going to be where I got to play with aromas. So the last trip I went over before the I Love Whiskey Academy, I went and did the blending class at Glengoyne. So tonight we are doing the 18-year-old Glengoyne, and all about that sherry life, right? So this one, that's what this dram is. And I have a link in this to the nosing kit that I put together and talked about it a little bit there. But going through that class, the very first thing that we did was go through a series of 20 different aromas and a blank piece of paper. And we had to figure out what it was that you were smelling. And I think I got like 18 out of the 20. I didn't know what pear drops were. So if you have any of our folks over there, I didn't know what pear drops were. I was like, I'm a little afraid to ask, but I think it's like hard candy, basically. And I just said it was something sweet. But yeah, going through that and the difference of all these different things. So what I ended up doing was coming home and making my own version of that. And we'll play with that here in a little bit. But if you've got a Glengoyne 18, if you got Glengoyne at all, if you got anything that's got sherry in it, pour it out and let's let's have a nose of that. And the sherry can be kind of funny, right? Because it depends on which type of sherry. Some sherries, even the like a white wine sherry, they tend to be more dry and springy, whereas an Oloroso is going to have that more rounded, stewed fruits, and then you get a PX, and it's just literally ground up raisins, just deep and dark, dank. And this one, I'm trying to remember what sherry is in this one. Let's see. First fill sherry cask, and doesn't say. So their tasting notes is spicy vanilla fruit, ripe apples, as opposed to sour, unripe ones, I suppose, and a rich, luxurious mouthfeel. And as you know, some tasting notes can get a bit bizarre. And I do love my SMWS, but some of those tasting notes are like, some of that I'm not ever going to consume. So I will never know what that tastes like. But this is one where I think really having some word triggers would help on sherry, because you get into the different types of fruit, and it's stone fruit. I was like, okay, that's a plum, that's a peach. What are other stone fruits? But to me, it's more what's been done to them. Is it fresh, or is like cherry? That's a pit. Yeah. Currants, different things. And I usually equate this more to like Christmas time, Christmas spices. I make a fruit cake that is absolutely fabulous. I know some people don't do fruit cake. You would love my fruit cake. The recipe is actually on scotchonthebayou.com, and I usually put Glendronach 12 in it and then soak it with Glendronach 12. Like my nana used to, my dad's mom made it all the time, and she would use Old Crow, or maybe sometimes she would put Early Times, but it's dates and cherries, none of the unidentifiable fruit, golden raisins, regular raisins, and pecans. And it is just delightful. And that's what I get usually off of different sherry notes for sure. So let's see what here's. Let's see. Yay, I have the chapter 1 and chapter 2. I don't have chapter 2. Yum. Yeah, Glengoyne is such a beautiful, quaint distillery. It is literally a bus ride. I rode the bus from Glasgow to get up there. And when you get there, you get on the north side of the road is the distillery, and it is technically in the Highlands. And on the south side of the road are the Dunge houses, and that's technically the Lowlands, which is really pretty cool. Let's see here. Oh, we've got Mr. Drew Bills in the house, and he's got us some Glendronach 12 right now. Love that bottle. Sounds really good. Okay. So Malt Minion, absolutely agree with the nosing last night's glasses. Yeah, we talked about that at the Bourbon Festival, that don't be in a hurry to do your dishes at night. After you've had a couple of drams, I think you get, once the alcohol evaporates and the sugars remain in that glass, you just really get all these delectable little molecules of scents that you can, and aromas that you can pick up. Great idea. Zach's got a Glenallachie 2006 Oloroso. Yum. I bet. Zach, tell me in the comments, is it like the color of coffee? I'm guessing it might very well be. What flavor? I'm curious to see what nose you're getting with that peated. So John must be working on something that's peated, and my next dram's gonna be peated for sure. Some people get that. I don't get I really don't. Now, I haven't been exposed to a lot of baby puke in my life, considering I have dogs for children. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't think that's it. Hey, Chad, thanks for being here, friend. I really appreciate that. Pour you a dram and let's talk about nosing. Very cool. Let's see who else. So what made you go to Scotch over bourbon early on? And was it that first trip to Scotland? So yeah, Daniel, I think so. I mentioned my grandmother, my nana. She was a very colorful woman, and she enjoyed she enjoyed her cocktails when she wanted them, and I knew that. I mean, not to the point where it was out of control or anything, but I knew that she liked brown liquor. Let's put it that way. And then we all go through college in various states of adventuresomeness, and I don't particularly care for beer. That's just something I've not developed a taste with, and I have a lot of whiskey now, so I'm not going to develop a taste for beer. But I wanted to have something, right? And what I had of bourbon was very sweet to me, and I didn't particularly care for it. So I was real happy everybody else did, but it just really wasn't my thing. So yes, that first trip I did in 2016 over to Scotland, I just went into the Oban distillery to see how it worked. I work in the technical writing field, and I wanted to see the process. Long story short, they gave me samples at the end, and I was like, wow, this is wonderful. And I brought home a distiller's edition from a bottle from that trip, and just wanted to learn more because I really enjoyed it because it was not sweet. For my palate, I get pure corn syrup off of bourbon. It is very much like someone poured some dark Karo syrup in a glass and said, here, bottoms up. And it's just not for me. And that's okay, because that just means there were more bottles for other folk, and it's all good. But yeah, and it's just what makes the world go around, for us all to have different tastes, right? But oh man, I think sherry has a lot of more identifiable flavors. I think some folks do get a sulfur off of it at times. I know Mark Broda from Scotch for Dummies. He has a thing about sulfur with Macallan's, and that's one I don't have too much trouble identifying. So when you are looking at that, trying to figure out, and one thing that I did do, as I mentioned, after going to Glengoyne, I'm gonna see if I can do this without spilling it everywhere. But so this is my, let me make sure, this way, okay. This is my nosing kit that I made, and again, the videos and the link for this. But for about $40, and then about, I think the box was another $12 because I wanted a fancy box. I just got these bottles, and a list of scents and aromas that I wanted to work on. And there were things that I think I could identify, but I wanted to help reinforce. And just as anything you're eating or anything you're around that might have a connection to whiskey, just try to be more familiar with that and be able to smell it. So in using the kit, it is as simple as having these scents and then going through and doing a blind. You don't necessarily want to say, okay, these are all of the ones I put in here. And if you really wanted to do blind, you could get somebody else to set the kit up for you even. But I have in the instructions, it shows how to make the kit and to have basically the master list of all the items so that you know. But then Okay, I don't have my glasses on. I'm just going to pick one and really truly just say, okay, what is this that I'm smelling? And I'm trying to pick that out. And it smells kind of sour. And I don't quite know what that one was. And I'm going to look at my list. And then I'm going to go, oh, yeah, sure it is. Let's see, what is it, 16? What's number 16? Is that 16? No, 18. 18 is, where is 18? Oh, it was cocoa nibs. Huh, let me see if I can get that again. Yeah, I can kind of get the chocolate on that now. I have to tell you, I was playing with this kit right after I recovered from COVID. I was so happy I could smell something. Okay, this is number 12. And number 12 is cinnamon. Number 12 is cinnamon. Yay! So that's what I really enjoy about this. Most of these things you have in your bathroom or you have in your kitchen. And what you don't have, you can go grab and source. We have a really cool little spice shop here in Baton Rouge. And I just got a few things. So one of the things I'm going to get is number 3. This is what I have trouble with. Where's number 3? 1, 2, 3. Number 3. 22. 3. Number 3. So our next pour for me is an Isla. And I spilled some on my hand right before we went live. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to have to go wash my hands because I just smelled like it. So this is Lagavulin 8. And Lagavulin, this is 48%. And then we're at the end of this bottle. This is going to be zebra down. Not tonight, but very soon thereafter. Man. So tell me in the chat, which Isla do you all get the most iodine off? Is it a Lafroig? Is it an Ardbeg? Or is it Lagavulin? I mean, I get a lot of lemon off of Ardbeg. I just don't get the iodine. So this is a nosing of iodine. So let's see. So that definitely smells like iodine. And it is a little Band-Aidy. I even thought about putting a Band-Aid in these, but the Band-Aids nowadays are not like the Band-Aids we had back in the day where they were all plasticky. They're more like fabric, and they just don't smell like old Band-Aid did. And so what's interesting is if you're trying to get a note, and say the tasting notes say it, has an aroma of iodine or hospital or Band-Aid or whatever, I'm not getting it off of what it's saying it has. Just kind of going back and forth would probably do it. So I'm going to go back to the chat because it's blowing up over here. I'm so excited. So, Kilco. Hey, Brian. He's going to drink my beer for you and my bourbon. Knock yourself out, friend. Molasses. Grateful not to be sensitive to sulfur. Yeah, because that one can really end a lot of really good tastings, I'm sure. So Mark GG, are you identifying? Does it smell like a match striking to you? Or is it like only sulfur? So to me, sulfur is rotten egg. Like a bad egg. Like an egg gone real, real bad. Burnt match to me is more of a smoke. I equate it more with a smoke smell. So Mary, are you asking me on the color coding on these? They were just a bunch of labels I had that were different colors, and they have a number on them. So they aren't color coded. I did get colored bottles, so I couldn't readily see through them, which I really like. That's cool. So Andrew says, I find sulfur can manifest as a different way from the struck match, is fine for you. But yeah, rotten egg, that's a no-go. I'm not gonna be drinking anything that smells like rotten egg. Mm-mm. And yeah, Mark's like the same thing. That rotten egg's got to go. So Mike says he's been to Glengoyne too. Love the rich fruity sherry aroma. Is just enough bite, give you the warm hug. It does. It's got a nice long finish for the most part. That's really good and warm, and I think that's attributed in my mind to a lot of the Spanish oak, European oak that they use in some of their casks for sure. Let's see what else we've got here. Hey, we got another West Coaster. Hey, friend. Hey, Gregor. Good. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Andrew, musketry. Interested note, indeed. Yeah, there is some kind of mustiness. Maybe that's not the context of the comment, but I do see that being interesting. No, not quite. I'm at 720 DPI, evidently. I'm trying to do anything I can to keep this thing from stuttering. So we'll chat more about that. But yes, the DSLR is on the way to get figured out. Andrew says, Scotchland Bayou, I get the most TCP on Lefroy. Not sure about the iodine. Interesting. Okay. Cool. So the Carchus Triple Wood, that's the one one of the Carchus I brought home. Just regular. My brother had Lore. Lore is one of my favorite Lefroy's. Man, that's a good bottle. So on the Wee Beastie, you get the plastic Band-Aid. That's interesting. Used to get more, mostly on Lefroy, but I'm not very sensitive to anymore. And that's a good point, Chuck. That's a really good point, because as you get used to it and as you get into the drams, one way or the other, if you get into them so many that you don't really care what it smells like, or you just get used to the smell, you kind of get it as a package deal, right? So Brian says, have a hard time with Lagavulin. I seem to prefer Lefroy and Ardbeg. Yeah, I think Lefroy was my first Isla because I went there not knowing what I was doing. And I was like, okay, barbecue pit, I get that, slightly sweet. Feel like I've been sitting in front of a campfire all day and kind of eating the campfire at the same time. And then I got a Lagavulin 16. I can remember that one. And it was, to me, that was like particularly the mouthfeel of that one was so rounded. Like it was 3-dimensional to me. And it felt like it was a different type of smoke. But that's the beauty of, folks, especially Isla, everybody has their favorites. Bamora is not one of my favorite Islas at all. But I know people who, are going to be at Facial and will do anything to get that bottle every single year. And I'm happy for them. Man. Let's see. Oop, we did that. Okay. And then it does sound kind of odd, but it's there. And I think maybe I get it more on the finish nowadays than I did on the smell. So most I love their eye. That's probably, yeah. I think Diageo is pretty heavy-handed on Lagavulin. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. But, hey Jen. Need to revisit Lagavulin. Been stuck in Ardbeg land for so long now, but it's a beautiful world to be in, that Ardbeg land. We know, right? Can't get enough of that. I just had to replenish an Ugadel the other day because a bar ain't a bar unless you got a bottle of Ugadel on it. Brian says, to Ben, I haven't done a blind Lagavulin, but it probably should. It really, I need to do more blinds. I think we all kind of need to do more of that too, to work on, go through a blind, get someone to set up a blind within some reasons, not some crazy odd thing, but things that you already have on your bar, and just go through each one of them and write your own notes about them. And I love the way Roy Aquavite does the blind challenges. Gregor, Time for a Dram, and Zach and I did one that Gregor put together, and it was very eye-opening, because some of these things I have never had. I think, was Anna 12 one of those, or it was Kleinleash 14, I think, Gregor, that we had in there, that I was like, oh man, this is grassy and this is this, and it was totally different than what I had thought about it before. It was just a different day, but yeah, just being able to go through that. If you work through a kit, or you work through word suggestions, things like that, it's almost a bit of a practice of an elimination. Is it this, or is it that? It's like you're going and getting your eyes checked. Is it one? Is it two? Is it A, or is it B? Do I need to do that again? This one or that one? And you get to this process of elimination, and then you kind of get an idea. Okay, I really am getting this taste off of it, or this nosing off of it. Very cool. So Gregor says, have you, Leanne, or Will, at the camps? We are having some camp drams, and I'm really stoked about what's coming up this weekend. As like I said, it's been a lot of fun between the Bourbon Festival this past weekend, finally getting back on the show after last week's hiccup with no power. And then we've got some things coming up. And one of the things I'm so stoked about is we are going to have a guest this week. Yay! I'm so happy. And one particular person, Mr. Drew Bills, is on, and his cohort, Mr. Dr. Scotch, is going to be in Dubai, y'all. I'm so stoked. Andrew and his lovely wife, Katie, are down south for some vacation, and we are going to the camp Friday. So I'm hoping to reel him in on maybe doing a camp dram with me, and we're going to go out and look for gators. Well, Mark and I took the boat out this past weekend, and I don't know, honey, how many did we see? Probably, I don't know, probably like 10. So from anywhere from here to the 12-foot, 300 and something pound one named Russell. But the gators are plentiful and very active right now. So we're going to take Andrew and Katie out to the swamp Friday. Weather should be fabulous. And we're going to have some good drams down on the Bayou. It's going to be a lot of fun. I wish all those 4 guys could come down here. But at least we're going to get one of them. Let's see. Oh, a road trip. First tour of my summer road trip, and it's better Springbank barley to a bottle. To Gregor, does that mean you're going back to Scotland and doing Springbank? Campbelltown? Well, let's see. Okay. Carlos, last time I had Bemore 15, I got a strong ash sulfur note. It's been a while. I had to wait a while to drink it. Yeah, and so that's a really good point you bring up, Carlos. The bottle, as it goes, is going to change too, right? The oxidation and how many times you get into it, all of that is going to have an effect. But that's interesting on the sulfur. A lot of Bemore does sherry, so I'm wondering if that had to do something with it. Jennifer drinks well, folks, if y'all haven't figured that out. Yeah, you had to do it, friend. You had to do it. And I get to see her in another month, so I'm really stoked about that. Mr. Drew Brills, please get down here and tell all your other buddies too. So next week's show will be extra special because it will be the 1 year anniversary of Scotch on the Bayou on YouTube. Yay! So tell all your friends to subscribe, to join us, come be part of the fun. I really do appreciate y'all being here. I want to see. Blind tasting. Trooper, if we can get you out of the oil field or off of a platform long enough, I would love to do a live with you on a blind challenge. That would be so much fun. We could do that. We could do a Louisiana thing. We'll get Mark JG on it and we'll be all Louisiana tastings on a blind. That would be a hoot, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness. So Buzz Monkey, I'm having a 13-year-old Akatoshin. Let's hear the Southern accent pronunciation of Gaelic distillery names, shall we? From Barry's, indeed. Okay, Barry Brothers, bottling 54 ABV. What's a bottle? Wow, I bet that is pretty tasty. And too, appreciate your comments today about the water, because as we're tasting all of this, I didn't do water on any of it, but when you go back and put water on these, you're going to get a different thing. Different notes are going to come out. And, you may look at a tasting notes and it's like, well, it's going to have, it may say it's lime, and like, I'm not getting lime off of this. How am I supposed to be getting lime off of this? Well, if you have like a nosing kit, you can see, is there something similar in your kit? Like I have orange peel in this. So maybe work between the dram and the orange peel scent sample, and you can kind of getting any citrus at all. Is it, on the Oban Distiller's Edition, the particular one I get a lot of citrus, but it's very much like a tart satsuma that we have, not something like a super sweet tangerine. It's kind of there. And, a lot of times you hear women smell things better than men. And I think that's, I don't know physiologically if that's the case. I think it has more to do with domestically having been exposed to a lot of different types of smells, a lot of food smells, maybe. I know anybody who's a chef, Jennifer's a chef, Sean on Scotch for Dummies is a chef. Those folks are going to have an even wider expanse, and her palate particularly is off the charts, spectacular. But yeah, I think doing more blinds and being able to test, again, it's testing the whiskey, right? Like Roy says, the whiskey is on trial, not you. That's for sure. So you're so jealous. Just get down here. It'll be a lot of fun. It really will be. I'm stoked. I want to see his face. I really hope we see this big gator called Russell. Russell literally is like 12 feet long and probably 350 pounds. Boy got girth. I mean, and I could just see Andrew just having a fit. But, we're going to have fun with that. Let's see. Is a sabbatical trip starting to take shape, 2 weeks, driving around Scotland, chasing whiskey. Oh, Gregor, I sure hate it for you, friend. What a cross to bear, right? Oh my gosh. Good for you, friend. Good for you. And he says, Leanne, okay, so you're in Isla, Campbelltown, then up to Spey and Skye. Involving a camper van and some mates, hopefully. Cannot wait. Well, make sure you take the deep for the midges, because they're going to eat you alive once you get to the Highlands if you're going in the summer, right? And then I've got a buddy in the Highlands in Inverary. I need to make sure if you're in that neck of the woods for you to see. He has an incredible whiskey shop, but I'll send you his information. Yeah, we need to do that. You need to take a break. You've been working really hard. I know you got to make hay while the sun's shining, but we'd love to have you anytime. I I know. If Gregor could take us all to Scotland, what a time that would be, right? What a time. My goodness. Well, I hope this has had some fun again tonight to kind of help you make those connections, whether it's with a nosing kit or with, some words that help jog your memory, or just sitting there and kind of going and indexing your memory bank to take what you're smelling and or what you're even tasting and knock it and attach it to a word. Um, the bottom line is, do you like the whiskey? Is it something you want to drink? Is it something you want to taste? Is it something you want to share? That's what really means the most. Not getting hung up on all the words, not reading the tasting notes and saying, well, I don't really get that. Do you get the taste enough to where you like it? That's all that matters. Your palate is your own. When we start comparing our palate with what other people are saying it should be, that's when you need to do a timeout and say, no, this is my bottle. This is what I want to get out of it. If you're getting what you want out of it, then that's the bottle for you. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody being here. Again, thanks for your patience. I'm hoping technically it wasn't as bad as it's been. We're still gonna keep trying it. But next week we were gonna have our special guests will be the people who got me into this endeavor, and that will be the Scotch for Dummies are going to be my guests for my 1-year anniversary show. And I really do appreciate everybody being here. Thanks, Trooper, Gregor, Zach, Mark, Molasses, Daniel H, Ben, Brian, all you guys, Chad, Jim, everybody, Drew, Mark, my Mark, and thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I hope y'all have a great week. And until that next time, salon to y'all.